welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing my mid-month April reading wrap up. So this is all of the books that I read in the month of April so far, as of April 15th. So far this month I've read 13 books. I'm having such a good reading month and I can't wait to keep going. The first book I read for the month of April was Only and Forever by Liese. This is the 7th book in the Bergman brothers and I read this book via audio. Now in this book we follow Viggo Bergman and we've been anxiously awaiting Viggo's book because this is the final book in the series. We've been waiting the entire series to get Viggo's book and we finally did. So Viggo is trying to start a bookstore. He wants to start a romance only bookstore, but he is struggling. Then comes Tallulah, and Tallulah is somebody that Viggo had a crush on back in college but kind of never acted on it. So Tallulah walks in and he is kind of like reigniting this, but he is hesitant because he doesn't know if she likes him. So there's a lot of back and forth throughout the entire book, and basically they come up with a solution where Viggo is going to help Tallulah write her debut novel. She's writing a thriller book, and Tallulah is going to help Viggo open up this bookstore and get it all running and going. So they spend time together, they move in together. Oh my god. And that's what this book is all about, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I rated this one 4.5 stars. The next book I read is an absolute god tier of a book, and that is Magnolia Parks Into the Dark. I have adored every single Magnolia Parks book, and this one is no different. This one is my favorite by far. I cried like a little baby. This book is about Magnolia and BJ. Magnolia and BJ have this on and off again relationship, and you follow them throughout all of the books. And this one is just, oh my gosh, this is the final chapter in their story, so I'm sure you can imagine how it ends, but it is so incredible. This series is a god tier series for me, and this book is my favorite in the whole series so far. I cannot wait to see what Jessa Hastings does in the next book. Truly, I am so excited. The next 4 books I read for a Reading New Releases reading vlog. So if you've already watched that one, I'll try to be as quick as possible. But the first one I read was Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez, and this book was so good, right up my alley. The main male character is basically heaven on earth. He is incredible. I was obsessed with him the entire time I was reading. This follows Xavier, who is a veterinarian, and Samantha brings her cat in to get a checkup, and they kind of have this disastrous meet cute where she basically calls him an asshole and he is obsessed with her. So that's kind of how they meet. They end up going on a date, and it is just the most magical date ever. And then they're separated and they can't be together. This book has so much delicious yearning and so much love. Oh my god, I love this book. There was a point where I was crying big, huge tears. This book is so emotional. It'll make you feel something. I adored this, just like I adore all of Abby Jimenez's books. And that one was 5 stars. The next book I read was The Conditions of Will by Jessa Hastings. This is Jessa Hastings' newest book, and I had obviously just finished Magnolia Parks Into the Dark, and I was ready and wanting more, and this book did not let me down. It was so good. There was a time there when I was kind of like unsure if I liked it or not, but I think that that was just like a little lapse in judgment. I ended up rating this book 4.25 stars because it is such a good book. If you're looking for a romance, this isn't necessarily the most romance heavy book ever, but the story it tells is so incredible. This story follows Georgia, and her father dies, so she goes back home. She's been estranged from her family. She doesn't really talk to them, except for she does have this one brother who she does talk to, and her brother that she does talk to is an alcoholic. So when he comes to the funeral to get all the arrangements done, he brings his AA sponsor. So this story tells the story of Georgia falling in love with Sam, who is her brother's AA sponsor. It also deals with her going through trying to figure out who's going to inherit what from the will, and like I said, she was not close to her family at all, so it's her kind of rekindling some of those feelings with her family and getting to know. It's such a beautiful family story, so I highly recommend this one. Next I read Swept Away by Beth O'Leary, and this was a solid 4-star book. It was good, it wasn't great, but I did really enjoy my time. So this story follows two characters who have a one-night stand, and they are on a houseboat, and when they wake up, this houseboat is in the middle of the ocean. So it's sort of a survival story. They're trying to survive on this boat for a majority of this book, and it's obviously them falling in love and falling for each other. It is a really, really good book. It's a fun time. It has like aspects of like a thriller because they're stranded at sea. It's really good. I enjoyed it. I've heard some people hating on this book and I just don't agree. Next, I read a 5-star banger of a book, and that is Gifted and Talented by Olivie Blake. Now, I adore me some Olivie Blake. I read the Atlas 6 series. I loved it. This is better. I thoroughly enjoyed it. This is another family drama of a family dealing with the loss of their father. So they're very similar, and they're trying to figure out who's going to inherit the company. It has a lot of similarities to The Conditions of Will, but this one, it follows 3 siblings, and they all have like magical powers. So it's them with their magical powers. They're trying to see who is going to inherit the father's like major company, who's going to be running the company in the future. And this book was excellent. Loved it. 5 stars. Next, I read God of Wrath by Rina Kent. This is the 3rd book in the Legacy of God series, and these are extremely dark romances. So if you're not into dark romances, you probably won't be into this. I, however, adored it. It was very good. It follows Jeremy and Cecily, and Jeremy essentially stalks her. So if that sounds interesting to you, maybe pick it up. The next book I read was also for a reading blog, and this was a reading blog where I read books for book clubs, and this book I read for Books and Lala's book club, the Literally Dead book club, and it is The Inheritance by Trisha Sahklecha. Now, this book also follows a family who is wanting to know who is going to inherit the father's estate. I know, 3 books, 1 month, all about essentially the same thing, all very different. This one is more thrillery. So from the beginning of the book, you know that at the end of the book, somebody's gonna die. So you're kind of on the edge of your seat wanting to know who is going to die. And this book, unfortunately for me, kind of fell flat. It was not what I wanted. This is more of a family drama. I was hoping for more of a thriller. I ended up rating this book 2.5 stars. It wasn't terrible, but I didn't like fully enjoy my time. I'm anxious to see what other people thought about this book, so I'll be closely watching that live show just to hear everybody's opinion. The next book I read was On Wings of Blood by Briar Boleyn, and this book had a little bit of everything that I love. It's got vampires. It's got an academy setting. It's got dragons. It's essentially the tagline of this book, I just pulled it up because I have to read it to you, is what do you get if you mix Harry Potter with Fourth Wing Zodiac Academy and a dash of Arthurian legend and lots of vampires? Bloodwing Academy, and that's the series title. So if that sounds good to you, you're probably going to enjoy this. I ended up rating this one 4 stars just because it wasn't perfect to me, but it was still really, really fun. I really enjoyed it, and I am so excited to start the second book. Next book I read was The Best of Friends by Lucinda Berry, and this was just a solid thriller. I rated it 3 stars. It wasn't fantastic, but it wasn't terrible. I enjoyed my time reading it. It basically follows 3 families, 3 mothers of 3 sons, and the sons get into this like accident. One of them ends up dead, one of them ends up in a coma, and the other one is mute. He's not speaking. So they're trying to figure out everything that happened. So it's the mothers kind of looking into the scenario. And like I said, it was good. It was kind of an average thriller. I enjoyed it, didn't love it, didn't hate it. I would recommend it if you're looking for a thriller that's kind of okay. The next book I read is My Baby, and that is Fearless by Lauren Roberts. I enjoyed every single second of this book. It had me on the edge of my seat wanting to know what was going to happen. And if you know this series, then you know how anxiously people have been awaiting this book because we had to see who ends up together at the end. I personally was not disappointed, so if that says anything, if that means anything to you, then that means something to you. I don't know. I really enjoyed this book. This series is incredible. It starts with the book Powerless, and Powerless tells the story of Peyton, and she doesn't have any powers in a land where you're supposed to have powers. She ends up saving a prince, so she gets sent into these trials. And what I loved about this book is that it brought back the trials. There were more trials in this book, and I absolutely adored that. Then I followed it up with another series continuation that was also 5 stars, and that was Enchantra by Kaylie Smith. I ate this book up. If I hadn't read this book right after I read Powerless, I would have gone into a major reading slump. This book didn't let that happen because it was so good. So this story follows Genevieve, and she's invited to this palace where she's going to kind of look into her past, only she gets trapped there and she has to participate in these games. And so it's her trying to participate in these games, and there's a marriage of necessity, so she has to get married in order to compete in these games and survive. And it's her story with the guy that she ends up marrying, and it was so good. Such a fun time. This series is incredible. I cannot wait for the next one. And the final book I'm going to talk about is Love Mom by Illiana Xander. And this was another thriller that I just found to be kind of average. I rated this one 3 stars as well. This one is about a woman who is a major author and she dies, and so her daughter is kind of like looking into her past when she receives letters from her mother. So she gets these letters that make her question her mother's past, and so she starts looking into it, and things go crazy from there. You follow her on this kind of wild goose chase trying to figure out what is going on with her mother. And I will say that some of the twists were really good. Like I said, not my favorite book, but it wasn't bad. I enjoyed my time reading it. I don't know that I would recommend it to people, but if you're looking for, like I said, another like pretty good thriller, this one might be for you. And that is my entire video. So I hope that you enjoyed hearing about the books that I read in the first half of the month. I will be back at the end of the month with my second half of the month reading wrap up. I hope that you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.